Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, a name that sends chills down the spines of even the most hardened souls. His crimes, a grotesque tapestry of depravity and violence, shocked the world. Dahmer's reign of terror, primarily in the heart of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, left an indelible scar on the city and the families forever haunted by his actions. He became synonymous with the darkest impulses of humanity, a monster hiding in plain sight. His story is a chilling reminder of the evil that can lurk beneath the surface of normalcy. A stark warning that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are not creatures of myth, but flesh and blood. The seeds of Dahmer's madness were sown early. His youth in Bath Township, Ohio, held a chilling foreshadowing of the horrors to come, a fascination with death, a morbid curiosity about anatomy. These disturbing tendencies festered in the shadows of his mind. In 1978, at the tender age of 18, Dahmer crossed the Rubicon of no return. His first victim, a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks, became an offering to his burgeoning darkness. The brutal act, fueled by a potent cocktail of alcohol and repressed desires, marked the beginning of his descent into utter depravity. Years passed. Dahmer drifted, a specter haunting the fringes of society. His dark impulses, however, never truly slumbered. They lay dormant, waiting for the opportune moment to resurface. That moment came in Milwaukee. Milwaukee, in the late 1980s, a city grappling with its own complexities, became the backdrop for Dahmer's reign of terror. From 1987 to 1991, he transformed from a solitary killer into a predator, stalking the most vulnerable. Young men, often from marginalized communities, disappeared into the night, their fates unknown. The full extent of Dahmer's depravity was beyond anyone's darkest nightmares. His apartment, a charnel house, masquerading as a dwelling, held the secrets of his unspeakable acts. Body parts stored in jars, photographs documenting his gruesome handiwork, the stench of decay clinging to the air, cannibalism, necrophilia, preservation of body parts. Dahmer's crimes were a grotesque mockery of human life. His methods, often involving drugging and dismemberment, were as calculated as they were horrific. As Dahmer continued his reign of terror, a chilling pattern emerged. His victims were predominantly young men of color, often from impoverished backgrounds. Their disappearances, tragically, were often met with indifference by authorities. The systemic neglect and prejudice faced by these communities allowed Dahmer to operate with impunity for far too long. A chilling reminder of how societal biases can have deadly consequences. Section 6. Justice delayed and denied. July 22, 1991. The night Dahmer's reign of terror finally ended. A would-be victim, Tracy Edwards, managed to escape Dahmer's clutches. Edwards, with a handcuff dangling from his wrist, led police back to the apartment of horrors. The gruesome discovery sent shockwaves through Milwaukee and beyond. The nation watched, horrified as the details of Dahmer's crimes unfolded. The trial that followed was a media spectacle, a public reckoning with the depths of human depravity. Section 7. Behind bars. A killer confronts his demons. In 1992, Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms, a sentence that guaranteed he would spend the rest of his days behind bars. Inside the walls of Columbia Correctional Institution, Dahmer became an object of fascination and revulsion. He granted interviews attempting to articulate the motivations behind his heinous acts. Some saw glimpses of remorse, others only a cold, calculating mind trying to rationalize the irrational. Section 8. Death in the penitentiary. Even within the confines of prison, Dahmer couldn't escape the shadow of his crimes. On November 28, 1994, he was brutally murdered by a fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver. His death, a violent end to a life defined by violence, offered little solace to the families of his victims. The world grappled with the implications of his death. Was it justice served, or merely another act of brutality in a story already steeped in it? Section 9. Echoes of Horror. Milwaukee's Dark Legacy. Decades later, the echoes of Dahmer's crimes still resonate in Milwaukee. The city, forever linked to his reign of terror, has worked tirelessly to move on, to heal the wounds left by his unspeakable acts. Yet, the memory of Dahmer serves as a chilling reminder of the importance of vigilance, of listening to the voices of the marginalized, and of confronting the darkness that can fester in the shadows of any community. His story, a cautionary tale for the ages, reminds us that monsters can wear many faces.